Hello and welcome to another edition of the GetGrowing weekly work session with GetOiling. I'm Coach Ashley. Today we're joined by founder of GetOiling, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey, everybody. We're so glad you're here today.
We certainly are. And we have Colin and Julie from our team with us as well. Hey, guys.
Hello.
How you doing?
You guys are going to be hearing a bit more from Colin here on the call today, which I'm super excited about. But today, guys, we're talking about 4 things that your website needs that you might not know about just yet. And this is something that is in Colin's domain of expertise. That's why we're going to be having him come out and helping us to understand some of this stuff. I've got some slides to go through with you today. We've got 2 really exciting feature update announcements from in the platform. And we also have someone who has signed up to work together on some a concept from inside of the Marketing Mastery workshop, which everyone does have access to. And I will show you later on in the call how you can make sure you go in and get access to those things that we'll be talking about today. But before we get into all that, where y'all at? Head up in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from. We're always excited to meet you and hear about you and what you're up to wherever you are in the world. So what I'm going to go ahead and do as we are going to be starting off with some slides and getting into those, let's say our hellos first. We've got New Hampshire, Oklahoma City. We've got Edmonton, Alberta. Hello. Of course, here on the call, we've got sunny Florida. We've got Colin in the Pacific Northwest in Canada. Greg is in Fargo, North Dakota, and I'm in New York City. We are thrilled as well always to have you guys. Keep it coming. We love this community. And by the way, speaking of community, if you're not a part of our Facebook group, make sure you head over and join us there. All right, we're going to pop out a video here briefly for now for the sake of recording quality of these slides. And then we'll come back out and chat with you guys here in just a little bit. All right, so today we are going to be talking about website setup items, say that 5 times fast, that you didn't know you needed. So some of these things may be familiar to you, some of them may come as a surprise, but all of them are things that you want to make sure that you have in place really sooner rather than later. You don't want to find yourself caught in a circumstance where you're maybe dealing with the repercussions of not having followed these steps earlier on in your business. So that's why we want to make sure we put this together so that you know about these things and you can at least start thinking in the direction of getting them sorted out. So what we're getting into today before that is we actually have 2 exciting updates, 2 feature updates inside of your GetOiling system, one in the blog and one in the store. We'll talk about those. Then we'll, of course, get into these 4 things that your website needs, and we'll be leaning on our resident expert, Colin, to help us understand those things. We do have a live work review. And of course, as always, because this is a live work session, if you're working on something actively and you need hands-on help with it, this is the place to get that help. So make sure if you have those types of questions or really anything that you need some support with and you're here on the call today, go over to the Q&A and add in your questions so that we can get to you. Now, if you're watching this as a recording in the future, make sure you go to getoiling.com/weekly work session to be notified of all of our upcoming calls. And of course, be the first to know when the replays go live. And if you want to work together, as Kim has chosen to do on today's call, you can go to getoiling.com/website review. And there's all manner of stuff that we can work on a call like this. We only ask that you are a GetOiling community member. And then, of course, whatever you're working on is in some way adjacent to how you use your GetOiling site. If it fits those 2 things, then we're good to go. Now, if, and you'll find all over our YouTube channel, all of our recordings from these calls. And of course, in this call today, we'll be talking about stuff that in a lot of cases, you may be doing yourself. Well, if you're somebody who would really prefer to outsource some of the doing, we have a team for that. You can go to getoiling.com/concierge and learn more about the different options available there. You can have someone work alongside you or in your stead on a number of different projects, whether they be recurring or one time. So make sure you head over to getoiling.com/concierge to learn more. Now, let's get into some updates. This is really exciting. How many of us are blogging on GetOiling's platform? Maybe raise your hand or let us know in the chat. Have you started blogging or do you plan to start blogging soon? Now, if you didn't know, GetOiling has a blog feature, which is a really cool thing. And of course, when you write a new blog post, you want to let people who you have as your subscribers know that you've got something new for them to go and check out. Well, we have a quicker and easier way for you to get the word out without having to go and perform a different set of steps. And that is, you can now send an excerpt from your blog out via email or text when you publish, which is a really, really cool thing. So what used to be the case is you could send your blog out when you publish to all of your contacts or to a tagged set of your contacts, which is cool. But if you have things like video inside of your blog post, and those things don't show up in the email, and maybe sometimes your blog post isn't quite written to show up as an entire email, right, out of context. So now what you can do is actually send out an excerpt, and it's really quick and easy. And it's a really, really cool thing. And I'll show you what it looks like here in just a second. And this, just so you know, it's a good choice for you that is going to impact the future deliverability of your emails, as well as the authority of your website. Because what we're doing, instead of sending something to someone that they just read and delete, we're sending them something that they've got to click, right? When people click things in your email, that tells the email servers that you are someone who sends things that are engaging. And so they want to make sure that you land on the right inbox, that you don't go to spam or junk or trash, right? And this also means that that person visits your website. They not only visit your website, they stick around on the website. Both of these things are really good for authority. And then, of course, we want them to read what you wrote and then maybe even poke around and find some fun rabbit hole to pop into so that they can maybe get a little closer to taking next steps with you, becoming your Young Living customer, being an Aroma Freedom client, or whatever the things are that you might offer on your site, right? So here's what this looks like when you're putting your blog together. You are going to choose in this section beneath the content of your post to send this out via email to your contacts, right? And so in this case, we're emailing the excerpt only. So you could email the entire post. This new feature is the excerpt only. And then, of course, you can select who this goes to. And then you just have to make sure a little further down on the page under advanced options that you have included an excerpt from your blog. It's just, a handful of sentences, a couple of, just a little quick blip. This is also what's going to show up on your blog digest page, right? So it's something that you want to definitely have. And then this is what it looks like when it sends. So now you don't have to go and find the link to the blog post and then schedule it and send it out to your people. You can actually just send out an excerpt just like this. 2 birds, 1 stone. Super cool. So if you want to learn more about blogging with us, we do have a blogging and events playlist on our YouTube channel. And that's where you can actually learn more about setting up blogs and how all of this stuff works. All right. And then, of course, don't forget about this little guy. He's always there for you in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you want to learn more about any of the things that we're talking about, whether it be here or on other calls that you're on with us, there's a good chance you're going to find quick and easy answers by clicking this little guy and searching for what you're looking for. Now, in our store, which is a new feature at the time of filming this, really exciting, cool thing. We actually have a new feature in the store that allows you to create listing-only products. If you know what this means for you, I hope you are super excited jumping out of your chair right now. And if you don't know yet, don't worry, I'm about to show you, like literally show you. So what this means is that in your store, you can now list things that can't technically be purchased in the store. So think, for instance, if you have a coaching program that is maybe sold on a sales page, or you've got a monthly membership that needs to be purchased via a vault, those things can be listed in the store and you can send them over to the place where they purchase, right? If you maybe before someone might become a client or something like this, you want to get them onto a call, the link that you send them to from the store could be not for a purchase at all, but for them to enter a funnel where they maybe have to set up a call with you before they can take next steps. But the biggest implication for this, for you guys, is hello, you can send people straight to Young Living products, right? How exciting is that? You could have bundles that you've put together with wish lists and have those listed as a product on your website. And then the link that you send them off to is that wish list link, that bundle link, or to a specific product, right? So check it out here, right? So we're going to go and let's do this for Ningxia Red, literally copying stuff off of the Young Living site. Okay. So Ningxia Red is the US listing. We're using a product only type, right? So over here under product type, it's listing only product. Then after we've uploaded our video, which again, copied directly from the Young Living site, as is the product overview, copied directly from the Young Living site, with the exception of the end of this last sentence, I tweaked slightly to make the call to action be to click the link below. Okay. Now, what I did to get this link where you see where it says get it now, I used the leaf link. Remember our little wavy hand question mark guy? Type in leaf link and you'll learn how to use this if you don't know how to. So I created a leaf link for a Ningxia product. Okay. And then I turned it into a button and changed the words to get it now. Right? So turn that leaf link into a button, add the retail price to the product price here. And then further down the page where you're getting into the product details, you add the actual discount price. So if they're a customer, they're unsubscribed to save, et cetera, the non-retail price, add that in as a sale price. Okay. And then of course, once you have this set up, you'll be able to send your future new customers straight to Young Living to purchase the products that you're recommending from the store on your website. And it looks like this. You could see Ningxia Red is listed here. And then you can actually see here over on the right-hand side, this exciting, like, ooh, is this much? And now it's that much, right? And all they have to do is click that button. And when they do, because that's a leaf link, it's coded to your Young Living number. And so when they purchase and they go and add that to their cart with Young Living, they're going to become your customer. How exciting is that? So if you are launching challenges, if you are, doing things that require maybe the use of Young Living products to be able to fulfill whatever it is that you're doing, right? You can actually feature those things in your store so that people can, shop with you, right? But they're actually going over and they're putting these things into their cart on Young Living's website. Very cool, right? So make sure that you check out the store playlist on our YouTube channel. And of course, don't forget about this little guy. He's always there to help. All right. Now let's get into the 4 things that your website needs that you didn't know you needed. All right. So the first one is a custom website domain. Okay. This is really an important first step to take. And the reason why you need your own domain is first, practically speaking for you, it's easier for you to say, go to myname.com and look for the button that says oils, right? Than it is for you to say, well, if you go to getoiling.com/myname/this/this/this, right? It's obviously no shame in having GetOiling as your domain, right? We love what we do here, but you're going to look like a superstar if it's your name instead of ours. So that's number one, right? It's going to level up your branding. It's going to make it easier for you to share. And then you can start building authority with your website content. Now, if you look at our YouTube channel, and this is definitely going to be in the blog playlist, but if you maybe search for SEO on our channel, we can go into a little bit more in those trainings about what authority means, but it's basically what your website tells the search engines is good about you that they believe, right? So that they may start recommending you to people who are searching for things. And that's a really good thing because that means you get free exposure from one of the biggest sources in the world, right? So let's talk about how to get your own. That's your own URL, your own website domain that's yours. First, I want you to click on our little help center guy here and type in domain to find our article on custom domain and email. And you're going to be able to see everything that you're supposed to do to get that done. All right. So make sure that you get that figured out, get your custom domain. Now, a custom email address is another important thing that you might consider, right? Highly recommend that you consider this, especially if you're using email marketing with GetOiling. So it's important that you have an email address from your own website domain. This is going to strengthen your branding. And that means that anyone right now could go to Google and I have a business.gmail.com, right? The difference for you is that you can have your own business address at your website domain. The perception of that, just from a branding perspective, goes miles further than having even just a reflection of whatever you used for your Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, whatever free email address was. From a perceptual standpoint for your brand, that's going to go a long way. But it's also really important because with email, authority also matters. Email servers don't love, or email providers, they don't love bulk emails that are sent out from free addresses like Yahoo, Gmail, etc. And what this means is that when you are sending from your own domain, more of your emails can be delivered to the inbox that you want them in, right? Not in spam, not in promotions, in the inbox where things get read, right? You have a higher chance of landing where you want to go. And then, and we're about to get into this, and I want to have Colin come out and share a little bit more with us, and obviously add on to anything that I've already put here. But with our sending an email from our website domain, what we're now also able to do is add an additional layer of authentication to your email. So first, if you want to get a custom email, before we get into that, remember, you can also go click our little guy here, type in custom email, and you're going to find an article with instructions on what you need to do to reach out to our team to get help with this, because they're going to need some specific information from you. So now let's get into email authentication, right? Colin sent me this little thing. Have you guys ever seen this before? Verified email address, sender info. It's authority and trust that you're getting, right? When you have authentication on your email address, it basically lets them know that it's you, because spoofing is a real thing. That's like people who are behaving like they're you, pretending like they're you. And this stuff can be really believable. My girlfriend and I were out the other night, and she showed me this email that she thought was from PayPal. And it was really convincing, but it wasn't from PayPal. And she was so close to having gotten scammed. And while you may be somebody who just has, 6, 12, a dozen, 24 Young Living customers, you are today working on building a brand for the future. And the more exposure you get, the higher the possibility is that you could be somebody that this could happen to. And honestly, it doesn't even matter who you are. Opportunists from all over the world who are into scammy stuff, like, they'll take anything. And what you don't want to do is to see your hard work destroyed by being victimized by something like this. And so this is one reason. And of course, I want to bring Colin back out here to talk. Sorry about this, a little bit more in detail about this. So Colin, can you tell us a little bit more about maybe even starting with the top, right? With having the domain, having the email address on the domain, and how this all connects together.
Yeah, for sure. Your example of your friend with the PayPal thing, they're kind of like, I feel like this is like part of the reason why this is so important nowadays, is that there have been, and I don't know what the reason is, but there seems to be just like a larger amount of people trying to spam other people lately. So email providers, in this particular case, Gmail has made it almost necessary that you verify your email address with them by essentially, for the lack of a better term, you place like a little note on your email that when you send an email to a Gmail account, they see that note and they're like, this is an authenticated email. Spammers don't go to these links, so we're going to authorize this email. Let's call it verified, put that little badge next to it, and voila, your email is much more likely to be received directly into the inbox, as opposed to going to someone's spam folder, which we've been seeing a large amount of lately as well. So that's really like the crux of all this. That's why it's so important, is that we're trying to assist you guys in having all of your emails end up directly where they should be, which is in inboxes, as opposed to being sent to spam, or as opposed to someone's email provider reading your email, because they unfortunately, to some degree, skim through your emails and check it and say, oh, you know what, we suspect this is spam, so we're gonna just stick it in someone's junk folder without them even knowing that it happens. They do it on your behalf, so to speak. So that's why, again, I'm kind of talking in circles, but that's why this is so important. So what I've been doing behind the scenes, this has become a little bit more of a conversation point in the last few months. Greg, of course, being the omniscient, is that how you say the word, person that he is, he's seeing all, knowing all, man behind the curtain. He kind of brought this to my attention a few months ago. So what I've actually been doing for all of our customers here is I've got a list of all of our customers who have custom email addresses through us. I'm going to spend some time trying to just do this for you guys. But if anybody has a custom email address that we've set up through you, please fire me an email and I will put you to the top of my list and I will just get it done right now. I'll check your email. I have a program or a piece of software that I can run it through to test it from top to bottom. And when it's all done, it'll spit it out with the new car smell and you'll have a brand new 100% authorized, authenticated, email address. So,
awesome. Yeah. So that basically means that like Colin said, reach out to us if this isn't something that's already in place. But this is something that our team is able to do for you to add this extra layer of protection. Colin, let's talk about a custom mail server as well.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you, and sorry, maybe I'm speaking over your slides here.
Nope, do it. Go for it. You're the expert at this.
when you first, and this kind of actually goes back to number 1 and number 2. The points that Ashley made is that if you sign up with GetOiling, we provide you with a free domain name of getoiling.com / whatever your username is. On top of that, we also have what's known as a mail server set up for you so that you can send emails right away. Now, when you do this, it sends from a generic inbox that we have to set up for you, right? Like emails have to come from somewhere. But going back to what we were talking about previously, those emails can sometimes be sent to someone's spam folder unintentionally. So this is where having a custom mail server comes into play. You do need to have a custom domain and you do need to have a custom email address. But what the custom mail server does is now allows all emails that are sent from your GetOiling account to look like your custom email address, as opposed to our generic email, which is, depending where you're sending from, it looks like campaigns@oilyemail.com. So this is essential, in my opinion, especially if you are email marketing directly through your GetOiling website.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Have you guys ever noticed if you ever send something to yourself that it'll say your name, but if you click it in your email client, it'll show you the email as manual emails@oilyemail.com or campaigns@oilyemail.com. That's what Colin's talking about here. And so this is how you change that to it's coming from you, not just by your name, but also from your email address.
Totally.
Yeah, and this just like the authentication that we just discussed. And another thing too, I think this is important. If you have a big list volume, if you're somebody who has a large team and you're getting started with us, it's very important that we get this step out of the way often before you even start emailing out, because that server that everyone is on automatically is one that we're all using together. The reputation of that server and how it arrives in emails is something that's shared by all. And of course, you don't want to potentially wind up in the spam junk or promotions folder, but also with the speed of sending things out, right? Like sometimes things can kind of be caught up in a queue if there's a very large volume of emails that are scheduled to be sent out. When you have your own, you have your own, right? Like, so the speed with which your stuff leaves and gets to your people is also, I think, affected by this as well. So similarly, if you're working with our team on this, we do this for you. So this is really just a matter of, reach out to our team, make sure that you've gone to, click our little helper guy and type in custom domain, custom email. It's the same article, and they'll tell you what we need from you, which is basically, come up with a couple of ideas if you don't have this yet for a website URL. When in doubt, go with your name. It's the best choice. Even if you do 27 other things, it's you doing it, and you're the person that the people are learning about and building trust with, right? So try to go with your name if you can. A .com is still really kind of ideal if you can find it. It's not the end of the world if not. And then, of course, you want to decide what you want as an email address on that domain. So hello@youraddress.com, first name @, info @ those all work really well. And then, of course, reach out to our team, share this info with them, and they'll be able to give you the options of what you can do next to get started. Colin, is there anything else that you would add here to just on for everything that we've talked about here?
Honestly, I mean, you covered all four of the essentials here, but I would 100%. I'm just putting like a big stamp, like this being like one of the first, if not the first things that that we do with your account, because as you mentioned already, building the authority directly onto a domain that is yours right away, the faster you can get that done, the faster you're going to be popping up in search results, the more likely your emails are going to be received. It's just do it now, and then move on to the next part, because it's very important, and unfortunately it's the and I'm using bunny ears, it's the unsexy part of putting together a website that no one really wants to do because it can be technical, but that's why I'm here. So like seriously, put all the weight on my shoulders, and I can get this taken care of. And in some instances, even if you don't have a domain through us, if you have it through GoDaddy, I can jump into your GoDaddy account, because they offer a service that allows me to log into your account on your behalf, and I can set it up for you. So please get it done first, and it'll help out tremendously.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Colin, for sharing your expertise. And you guys, don't sleep on this. This is an important thing to get figured out, and to get figured out sooner rather than later. And you are in such good hands once you do. So why don't you guys give a hand to Colin? Let's thank Colin for coming out and sharing this important information with us. He is just always working so hard, working with you guys in the inbox, getting everybody set up with the tech stuff that they need that most of us don't know how to do. So appreciate you. I wanted to address, and of course, if you guys have questions, do make sure you head over into the Q&A. But a couple of questions that I do see come up when we talk about things like this. One is, what if I have more than one business, where we start thinking about email addresses and domains and things like that. If you have an existing business that's maybe runs alongside your Young Living business, there are a couple of different things that we can do here. Majority of the time, like I mentioned before, my recommendation 9.5 or more times out of 10 is going to be brand yourself. Brand you, brand your name, because whatever the branded project is that you're working on that serves one set of people, your Young Living business is going to serve potentially overlapping but different set of people. If you're an AFT practitioner, if you're a coach, whatever it is that you're doing, there's going to be overlapping things, but the commonality between all of these things is you, right? That's you. That's who people have a relationship with. That's who they build trust in. That's who they need to hear from. And so that's the name that needs to show up in their inbox. That's the name on the website that they need to go to. So brand yourself if you haven't done this yet. Another question I see come up often around this is, what if I have an existing website that I plan to keep using in some form or fashion? On very, very, very rare occasion, somebody will come to us who maybe has built a little bit of search authority with blogs, or just hasn't, maybe a brick and mortar business or something like that, that they have existing. They want to be able to use GetOiling to support multiple businesses, which you obviously can do. We've talked about that on previous trainings before. There are a number of ways that you can do this. Again, I would aim for having your main website that you perhaps have with GetOiling be your personal, like your name, your personal brand, right? And then of course you can link to, be it in the content of your website, in the menu of your website, et cetera, to any existing websites that you have. There's also a thing called subdomains. That's, name.yourwebsite.com. You do have the option of having GetOiling be the body of that sort of subdomain, right? So it would be oils.yourwebsite.com, just as an example. And then anything that you build on your GetOiling site would be from oils.yourwebsite.com/whatever, right? Obviously, again, this is a bit more of a complicated use case that we're talking about here, but you do have a way to kind of tie everything together, use a domain that you already have if you prefer to, and then of course, work with our team to make sure everything is set up and good to go. So let's get into some live help and Q&A. And again, also I have Kim here with us, I believe, who, here we can come back to video. I'm going to double check and make sure Kim is here. Yes, I think you are. Awesome. So I'm going to bring you out here in just a minute, Kim, to talk through exploring your message mapping. Let me see if we happen to, Okay, so Greg, it looks like you're answering Nancy there. Awesome. So yeah, how many of you guys learned something new today? Raise your hand. You learned something new. Are you excited to take some steps here and get yourself more set up and secure for the long term? All you really have to do is know this is what I want my website name to be. This is what I want my email to be, and just reach out to our team. And there you go. You're in good hands. Awesome. So I want to go ahead and sort of set this up for you guys because we're going to get into an exercise that I cover inside of the the Marketing Mastery Workshop series. I'm going to get into screen share here and show you where you can get access to this. If you go to your settings, and this is provided that you are not already inside the program. So if you go to your settings, you scroll down, you're going to see Marketing Mastery Workshop. That's this guy right here. Learn to master the 4 systems that run your brand partner business. And when you click this button, it's going to add you to a vault. Now that vault, once you're signed up, you're going to find in the GetOiling member area, that's getoiling.com/members, where you'll find all of the courses that you have access to from GetOiling. And here it is, the Marketing Mastery Workshop series. Now this series, it's a 4-part series that is going over first your brand, then getting into how you move people from leads to customers, and then of course how you move your customers to brand partners, and then the sort of systems and workflows that you follow over time to maintain the flow of all of these things. Now in module 1, we talk about creating brand content, because at the core of your brand is your message. It's your expertise. It's you paying it forward into the world with value for other people to see and take advantage of. And so Kim had, she wrote in with a question about how to, kind of know if she's on the right track with sort of tracking out what she will be creating in her future content. So these would be her blog posts, potential topics for social media posts, and things like that. And so Kim, let's come out. And you guys, if you have questions about this or anything else, feel free to just put into the Q&A that you would like to ask a question about something, or you would like to talk about something that you need some help with. And if my screen will allow me to do this, having some issues with it, I'd like to go and find you so that I can bring you out, Kim. Maybe if I just stop sharing, it'll here we go. Now I can do this. Perfect. Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Good, good. All right. So we're talking about your message mapping today. So give me a feel first for how you see yourself really wanting to show up as a brand. Like what are you wanting to be known as or known for?
Generally known for the person that does farm things. We have chickens in a garden and do things naturally, natural, healthy cooking and healthy lifestyle, do-it-yourself kinds of things.
Okay, awesome. So is that's kind of what you're already known as the go-to for among your friends, and it's something you really like talking about?
Yes.
Right. Awesome. Okay, so let's taking just a little bit of a step back here. When we think about how you sharing this information could bring people toward Young Living, how do you see, maybe in your own examples of things that you might eventually share, how do you see Young Living either being incorporated in those, or how do you see yourself sort of sparking a conversation where Young Living could eventually come up?
Largely because I use Young Living products in pretty much everything I do. I use them in the garden for helping the plants grow, for pest control. I use them to keep my chickens healthy. I use them to clean everything. I use them on my dogs, myself. So pretty much everything that I do, somehow I use a Young Living product in it. And I've been doing even more like cooking with them and things like that. So I'm thinking that I'll make the content kind of on my life, which really is what it is. And then just weave in, this is, hey, I'm going out to spray the garden today with oregano or whatever those things are that I would be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. One more question. What's your why with Young Living?
Like, why do I want to share it or why do I use it? I guess it's kind of the same thing. I use it because it's made my life better, and I want to help other people also achieve healthier, happier life.
Okay. And is the person that you want to be putting this in front of, is it likely that they are in a rural space, or is there some overlap there? Like, is it somebody who's, because obviously you've got on your list here, you're kind of talking about the animals. Do you want to really in a dedicated way focus on talking about caring for animals, or is that just really more of a feature of your daily life that you see yourself sharing?
Would be more just a feature. I see my audience having some overlap. Some will already be in a rural area, maybe already be doing some of the same things, and I can just help them do it healthier, more natural. But then others are definitely they're going to be in town. They'll maybe have a small garden or maybe not at all, but can still talk about healthy foods and where they might get them. That sort of thing.
Awesome. Awesome. And can you tell me one more thing? I believe this would probably be, it's your who you serve and how that we did in this module. Can you tell me a little bit about who your person is?
Yeah, if I had my notes, I could tell you a lot better, because I seem like I always kind of struggle.
Oh, this is something you could just fire off the top. I mean, you know this person.
It's gonna be a mom. Probably I see most of them as kind of younger moms that are trying to figure out, healthier ways to raise their families. Our world has gotten so toxic, like everything is toxic, and more people are becoming aware of it and wanting to move away from that. And also with, recent times, people are more concerned about securing their food sources other than at the local or the big grocery store. So I'm going to kind of help those moms pave the way for their families.
Okay, perfect. So that means it makes a lot of sense that a top level topic for you is self-sufficiency. Okay, because that's going to be something where your person that's a thread they're chasing. That's a rabbit hole they're diving down, right? Somebody who is wanting to be more self-sufficient in the digital age is ravaging content that is talking about different ways that they can prepare and store, and they're the researcher, right? Somebody who's into this. So this is going to be a great thing for you to get into. What I would then think about, because you've obviously got some logical high level order, like I could talk about gardening, I could talk about chickens, I could talk about heating with wood, etc. I would consider reframing how you're organizing this from the perspective of what's a problem she sees, right? So think about it from the standpoint of problems, because what you're ultimately going to be looking for is to create opportunities for Google to serve you to her, right? And so if you are thinking first about the problem that she is trying to solve, then you can position yourself more effectively in front of her in the search results. So let's just say, for instance, instead of gardening, obviously, yes, you should be doing all of these things, starting seeds, planting your garden, etc. There are things that you can do this with, but it's the context with which you deliver it that's going to make you more relevant to your people. And because you're coming from this place of, I'm not just gardening to garden because I live, in a rural area, or maybe I have always done this. You're doing this because there's a greater purpose behind it. You believe that we all need to have this knowledge and do some of this stuff. We all should be a little bit more self-sufficient because right? That's where you fill in the blank, and it's that filled in blank where people go, oh, this is my girl, right? This is where they say, I want to subscribe to her. I want to read everything she does, because there are 50,000 blogs on the internet that talk about starting seeds or prepping a garden, right? So when we think about like why she's deciding to garden, and maybe she's new to gardening, we think about like why would she want to? So think about like, how to grow food for winter, or how to fill a pantry for winter, right? Or something like that. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really, we're sort of, we're reverse engineering, thinking about what she is wanting to know more about, and then just doing our best to position ourselves as relevantly as possible with those answers. And so while everything that you got in here belongs in the content, there's sort of a layer of personalization, right? That makes this more for her. That's and it makes it more you as well, because I mean, again, like you could go to the library, open a book on gardening and find all of this stuff. But if we start thinking about these things in the context of the fact that she's a mom, so she's busy, so she needs to garden in less time, right? She's a mom who's gardening, but not just for fun. Like she's not Martha Stewarding, right? She actually wants to learn something practical that she can, you know, that she can use for security. And so let me ask you this. If we look at, let's just get into another category here. So we've got our gardening piece. For the cooking, we've got fermented, we've got grains, sourdough, and then recipes. Tell me, when you start thinking about things that you want to teach her to make or cook, what really like sets the sparks flying for you? What are the things that you really like diving into?
Well, I like diving into things that are a little bit more like traditional or old fashioned, things that people don't necessarily do today, making my own bone broth or beef tallow, and why is it good for you and why would you want to use it, and pretty much anything that's from scratch that's usually something that I grew or raised.
Okay, fantastic. So that old-fashioned piece, I think, is something to maybe lean into, not necessarily explicitly in your branding, but although you certainly could, but at the very least, you do want to make sure that you're including a nod to the old ways or to old-fashioned or something like that, because that's probably going to be a point of resonation with you and the person that you're wanting to attract as well. So traditional, old-fashioned, those kinds of keywords might be good ways, good sort of companion keywords to look up when you're doing some keyword research. And you can learn a little bit more about those on, we have several trainings on SEO and blogging on our YouTube channel under the blogging and events playlist. And so you can learn a little bit more about like what it means to search. So you could basically say, like, look up the keyword, you know, cheese making, but like, you know, traditional cheese making or old fashioned cheese making, and start to see the things that come up that speak to you. I think a lot of what you're going to find to kind of give this more color in the direction of what she's really looking for is going to be by kind of doing some comparative research and seeing what's already out there, what's showing up, how relevant do you feel like it is to you? Is there something you can learn from what you're seeing, etc.
Sure. So my thought in making the outline was I just started typing out everything that I do and like and talk to people about. And my thought process was, when I go to actually write a post about one of those topics, that's when I would personalize it and try to build a little bit of a story around it and make it interesting. Would you actually change that? Should I do the outline in a different way to make that easier later on?
It's a good question. This sort of exercise in capturing your intellectual property, as it were, is something that tends to vary from person to person and sort of how your brain works and how you organize stuff. So it really is, it's kind of a flexible format here. What I would do is continue with this. And as you're sort of adding things to it, definitely do pause for a second and start to kind of look at, is this because it makes logical sense to me, or is this something that they're looking for, that's important to them? maybe you can start using things like, highlighting features and things like that to kind of like denote something that is going to be of highest value in your perception. Lots of things can come and fill in the blanks, of course, over time. But, if you don't have to write 1,000 words about, staking tomatoes, when your person is really looking more for, freezer meals, that's kind of, there are things that you're going to notice over time with trends of how people respond to what you're putting together that'll help you to kind of decide the directions you go. But this is a good starting point. So, but what I would encourage you to start considering at this point, as you, again, just kind of looking at gardening as an example that's fairly well drawn out here in terms of how, like, these are all articles that I could talk about. Or articles that I could produce, topics that I could talk about, is to start transitioning the language here from topic level to keywords, right? So while you have gardening here as an organizational piece, what we want to next do is think about why does she want to garden? So gardening for self-sufficiency would actually be sort of a subtopic under gardening. Storing food would be storing or canning would be a subtopic as well, because people are thinking about, well, if I'm going to do this, where's it all going to go, right? So yeah, basically where I would go from here is to start looking at this from the perspective of the keywords that they're searching for, and you're not changing what you're going to be talking about is the thing. Like the structure, the substance of your outline doesn't really change in a significant way here. We're just looking at how we can take her words that she's putting into Google right now and meeting her there by, kind of giving ourselves those words in the titles of what we're putting together. Does that make sense? Because that's ultimately what we're doing. Yeah, we're building a breadcrumb trail for her, and obviously that ultimately is on your website. But in order to get her there, we need to say the words she's typing in the top level of our content.
Yep, that makes sense.
Awesome. There's there's a recommendation to use vintage recipes. That's a nice word. I love it. Cooking from scratch. There's so much good stuff in here. I'm curious, when we're talking about, again, we're talking about moms who are wanting to be more self-sufficient. It's a broad title. And so gardening is going to be one piece of it. I would be really surprised if what she isn't also looking for is maybe guidance and information around saving, right? Like money saving, like, so there's a lot of different ways to be self-sufficient, right? And the food part is one. It may make sense if that's like, if the other topics around the sort of self-sustaining lifestyle aren't really the things that sing your heart song, and you want to focus more on the food and the animals and the garden of it, then that's actually going to be more of what your brand is about, is what farm to table self-sustaining lifestyle for moms. Whether you're in the suburbs or in the country, you can use these tried and true methods and keep your family healthy, save a bunch of money, and and feel secure. And of course, because like you said, Young Living is something that's going to kind of weave into everything. You're going to, like, for instance, when you say, here are my top 3 favorite, sort of home pesticide recipes, or I don't know how you would want to word that. But, that would be an opportunity to share a little bit about oregano, and then just say, hey, if you'd like to learn more about oregano, click here, here's what I use, right? And then you're linking off to Young Living using your leaf link, which you could certainly do.
Great.
Yeah. Any other questions? I hope that's helpful. I know that it's sort of, I didn't want to try to answer you via email, because there's always a bit more to sort of explore when we're looking at something like this, because it's kind of an open-ended exercise.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's very helpful. And I think I could keep going with that. I have another question that's not specifically related if we have time for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
So last week I actually talked to you also, and you looked at my website for me and you suggested, like at the top, the very top portion of my website, it's like, you know, I can help you with getting back to the basics, yada, yada, contact me. And it just takes them to a contact form. And you suggested instead of that to maybe link that to a form that asks them some questions to get more information about them.
Yes.
Just suggestions on what those, I didn't get notes written fast enough last week. I think you rattled off some great questions and I don't remember them.
Got you. Oh, that's right. I love this site. This is so good. Okay, so take control of your family's health by getting back to the basics. It's not as hard as you think. Let me teach you how. Let me see. Okay. This is the free consult, right? So schedule a free 15-minute consult from baby steps to fast track and get you headed in the right direction. So, I mean, the basic questions are going to be, you know, if this is somebody who is wanting to, yeah, you want to know where are they on their journey right now? So are you just getting started? And maybe that's what you can do in your pages. And I'll just create a pretend page for this purpose. But what we'll want to do is ask first, maybe a multiple choice question. So let's go under leads here and we'll say, which of the following best describes you right now? We'll require it. We'll give them a pick one and we'll edit the list. And this will be, I'm just getting started on my self-sufficiency journey. We'll add another one. I've done a little gardening, right? Little gardening, a little bread making, but I'm looking for more, right? And then you could say, you know, I am a seasoned homesteader looking to level up. I don't know, right? So we'll add that. Oops, don't want to add another one. So we'll be done with that one. So find out, sort of generally speaking, what category do they fall into? And then what else is important for you to know about them? I think if there's someone that you might be, you know, talking to about products, then you could say, you know, do you currently use plant-based products at home? And when you put this here, list them below. Let somebody tell you they use Young Living before you get on the phone with them. And so use long text here, right? And so once we do this, and I guess I need to add a section here so that I have, this says lead. Perfect. So now when we actually go and we check out this form, you can check one of these boxes and then we can add whatever the information is. And then of course we would set them up. I would change the, let me move out of here real quick. Obviously change the lead capture button label. So let's book my call, right? And then once you have all of this set up the way that you want it to, you can choose to send them to a page that has like a calendar booking form on it. You could send them to a confirmation page, and then via email in a campaign, you could say respond with 2 times that work best for you if you're not using a scheduler. But that's how I would do that. You would put it on a separate page, or depending on what you're offering. Are you offering something? As you are offering a lead pop-up on this page? Yeah. So I would send it to a new page that has that form on it.
Great. Can you save that thing you just made so I can refer back to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So this will be the apply for a call. How about that? Cool. So that'll be in your account. You can play around with that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad we could help. All right. Allison says, I started this in the Facebook group, but I'd love to see a quick demo on scheduling a blog post for later. Thought I was doing that, but hitting publish with a date set for later, published, then deleted it. Got you. Okay. Yeah. So you gotta read the button. You gotta read the button when you do this, but let me get into the Jane account and I'll show you. Okay. Okay, so if we go into our blog posts, and by the way, you do not have to delete a blog post. You can unpublish it. So I'll go to one here. If you accidentally publish something when you don't mean to, go to unpublish right here. There's a button down at the bottom. So you save the draft, right? If I want to publish this later, I'm going to go to advanced options, publish later, right? You set up the date and time. And I mean, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, if, excuse me, if we're publishing this at a later date, that's our created date. We're publishing this, next 2 Fridays from now. It's going to say schedule post. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So Allison, if you have put a future date here for publish later, then this green button is going to say schedule post. And it's not going to publish right away. But if you're going back and you're editing something and you don't have publish later, you either need to save whatever you were working on, because if you click the green button, it's going to make it go live. So unpublish it and then save the draft. Or of course, definitely go back and make sure that under publish later that you have, why do I keep doing that? That you've selected the date and time in the future that you want it to publish. And of course, if you want that excerpt to go out, then make sure you've got an excerpt right here and that you go here to email only the excerpt, select the people that you want it to go to. I select moms because my contact is tagged with that in here to send it to me, but that's it. And then it's going to on whatever the publish date is. So if we publish, I'll publish for 1 p.m. Actually, it'll be 12 because this is Central Time. So here in 3 minutes, I'm going to receive this when it is published. So scheduled. And you can actually see in your blog posts. Oh, that's set up for Eastern. So no, that would have already. Anyway, so that is, that's how you do that. You just want to make sure that you are actually scheduling it for the future. and then it'll say schedule. Okay, I think, does it work for a saved draft? Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same thing. If you have a draft, you can go in and modify whenever the publish date is going to be. It's a draft if it's unpublished, right? So you can unpublish something that you accidentally published too soon. Just make sure you go back and modify those dates and times. And that is basically it. Hey, Kathy, I see your hand up. Can you put into the chat if you need a hand with something, if you need help? Diane, can you explain what you call text you use often, how to save them? So, I mean, so depending on the device that you use, like predictive text or sort of short code text, I'm not really super familiar with those things. I know that you can set it up on like phones and things like that. It's not something that we have in our system, but you can use saved replies if you ever want to drop something that you say often or write often into an email or a blog post or a text, etc. And that is something that you can set up with formatting and everything over here under contact settings, saved replies. So anything that you are going to say frequently, don't give it a subject line because that will make it an email and it'll replace, if you're dropping it into an existing email or something, that'll replace the subject line of what you already have. So just give it a name so you know what it is. And then maybe it's an invitation to join a group and you put the link here. Once that's created, then you could drop this into wherever you want it to go, into an existing email, into a blog post, etc. I hope that's what you meant. So awesome. Well, you guys, thank you. Thank you so much to Colin for coming out and enlightening us with these topics today. And of course, you guys will be back same time next week. And we are so looking forward to helping you out with getting your website and your emails set up. We'll see you next time. You guys have a great week. Bye.